Hopefully, if all's gone to plan, we are live on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube. We will just hang about for a minute or two while people log in to make sure everything is working correctly. I've checked everything from my last show. Hopefully the sound won't be a problem. Hopefully you'll be able to hear us, but I'll just wait for one or two people in the comments to confirm everything is working. And while you're all switching on and joining us, I will confirm that my guest tonight is a god amongst men, as I am joined by Hall's boss Jens. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, mate. I'm fine, thank you. Looking forward to the matches.
Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and apologies again to everyone for the slight delay. If someone could just comment in the chat for me that they can hear me and Jens, and that the picture is clear as well, then that would be ideal, as this is my first time going solo. Jens, while we're getting a few comments in, Scott's suggesting that it sounds great, so that's a good start, although the title of the link looks like it might be wrong. Oh dear. That's something I can't fix now that we've gone live. Jens, I've got the results of the opening week. I don't want to go through each one because I appreciate we started late and people have got jobs to get to. So let's just delve in. Was there anything that stood out specifically for you?
I think Northern Burn, it's not a big surprise because their team looks amazing. I think they were quite dominant against the Devils, considering they played 20 minutes without, quite dominant is exaggeration, but they played 20 minutes without Roy Keane with 10 men. I know the Devils were missing a couple of important players, but Byrne just set a stamp and said we're going to be there. Was also surprised to see Ledesford beating Haggis away up in Scotland. I was surprised until I saw the thick circles in the Ledesford team. So mainly Northern Burn, one of the favorites this season. Other than that, I think it's going to be a very, very tight season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking off air and we said how every year for the last couple of seasons we've said it looks like it's going to be the closest one yet, and it's definitely got that feel about it this year. To keep the game moving, I've not set an order other than obviously we'll do your side last, Jens. But I will give you the option. Is there any way you'd like to start tonight?
Go from top.
Just go from the top. So we'll go Churchtown Dragons first and then see where the game takes us.
Yeah, I think the Fat Neck Derby. The Fat Neck Derby should be late on as well.
I'm sure both the lads will appreciate that. Okay, let's see if I can do this correctly then. So we are going Churchtown first, and Mr. Dimble's side. This is the team he has gone for. Roberto Carlos is a player who got a lot of mentions in the pre-season chat about the deal to bring him in. Del Piero as well, a player with proven Super League credentials, particularly in the last season or so. Churchtown largely, I don't know if underrated is the right term, but they're obviously predicted generally to finish quite low. Do you share that belief?
I would like to say that I think Dimble has done some very good things with the Churchtown squad, because I think when I look at the 11 they put out now and the last time out against us, I think it's way more balanced than it's been. I think that back five with the central defenders and those three at DM, Carlos, Calazza and Zanetti are good. And I like his setup. There's so many good teams in the league, so I'm not sure if I would put him over mid-table come the end if I had to tip, but I think he took some steps in the right path this transfer window for sure.
Yeah, I definitely believe they've got stronger. That's for sure. And just a quick note: Panucci was obviously the big money buy, if you like. To see him already on the bench, is that something of a surprise?
I'm not sure if you forgot to put I don't know what the English word for it is, but what you put in between the numbers. He paid like 25 million for him, didn't he? No, he's a decent player for sure. Probably a good one to have on the bench.
And that takes us to Dragons, who, as you can see, have a couple of absentees. Khan suspended, Zauri injured. So this is the team that Jamie has gone for. Obviously, let me know what you think to the 11. And just a question, as we've been asking a few people since the start and since the friendlies. Do you think Jamie might struggle now that he's flying solo again, or do you expect him to thrive?
That's hard to say, but I think if he's dedicated and he puts enough time into it, I don't see why it shouldn't be a good season for them. I don't think it should be a problem to lose. I mean, three people can be hard to find a way, but with one, there's only one way, isn't it? And I mean, he's got an extremely solid backbone in the team, and he's added a couple of great finishers as well. So I expect Dragons to be up there come the
Yeah,
end.
absolutely. I mean, when you consider that again, the strike force was what was the concern last year, it's a lot stronger, and the fact they've got West and Lucio, their first choice centre backs, back together again, um, that should be a steady base for them. I have checked this several times already, but just to be sure, before I hit go, yeah, sound off. So hopefully all will be well. If we can get a few predictions in the chat, Jens, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna be the boring one and say a score draw in this one. I think Dragons can take a point away, and I don't think Churchtown will be too disappointed. 1-1.
Okay, 1-1. I'm not seeing anything in the chat to say anything isn't working, so hopefully we'll be able to kick this one off. Evening, everyone who has joined us via the various methods available, mostly on YouTube. I can see Steve Wright's gone 2-1, Ian Edwards 2-1. So a bit of love for Churchtown against the beaten finalists. Rise joined us as well. He's gone 2-1. Dan Megahorse 1-1. Let's kick this one off then and see where we go. And there's a lot of Dragons early doors. But I have seen Santa Cruz's name. Churchtown certainly coming into it after an early bout of pressure. Still seen Santa Cruz's name a bit. Headman seemed to be getting involved. Del Piero, Santa Cruz. It looks like Churchtown are edging it for me after a strong Dragons start. But we're approaching half time. That looked like a mind knock there. And Churchtown take a very late lead potentially. They've definitely scored the opener. Yeah, Churchtown lead 1-0 at half time. And they have dominated, really, haven't they?
It's been one-sided. It didn't look that way from the commentary by me, but yeah, it's been one-sided. Very, very strong half from Churchtown. I
Definitely.
wonder if they have Riquelme on the ball, because I think I saw his name a lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start with the hosts. Have I seen? Yeah, Dimble is there, so you can have a quick look to see if you'd like to make any subs. But the ratings look strong. You know, you got 2 9s and an 8 there, and that's coupled with the rest of the team all on 7s. Couldn't really ask for much more, could he?
No, as I said, it's an extremely strong half from them. I think this team, with the backbone they have, if they can get Riquelme ticking, get him on the ball and get him to create, this team is gonna be hard to beat.
No, absolutely. And you mentioned Riquelme, 19 passes, 12 completed. Certainly being influential. Dimble said keep as is. I think I've seen Jamie in the chat as well, so we can have a quick look at the Dragons team. Chiotis with an 8, same for Saeed, but not much else of note there. Trevor West also getting an 8.
It's a little bit what can happen when you play a midfielder alone, center midfield, and attacking midfielder like Joe Cole,
Yeah.
he's got good attacking stats, but he's not going to be bossing that midfield on his own, is he? It seems like
No,
he's
absolutely
left a
not.
little bit alone.
When you look at who he's up against, I completely agree. There
He's,
are
he's
some.
he's he's thrown himself to the ground 9 times, and only 2 of them he actually got the ball.
Jamie is making a half-time change. Kesman on for Toe Madeira. Do you see that having a positive effect?
If he plays like he did for Loco, no, but let's see.
Let's kick off the second half then and see how we go. Churchtown looked like they were going to assert some dominance, but again, Dragons starting strong in the early minutes of the half. Can Churchtown weather a potential storm there? There's an injury, and it's a crucial one. Edgar Davids. You would imagine Owen Hargreaves probably coming on here.
Don't see much other options. That's a downgrade, huge downgrade.
Massive downgrade.
For me,
yes.
not a Hargreaves fan at all, but
would you? I mean, obviously Hargreaves, if it is him selected, that I imagine it will be, is fairly versatile. Can you see Emerton moving inside, or would it be a Hargreaves straight swap?
it's hard to tell. I don't think I ever had Hargreaves in this game, to be honest. I like Emerton way better at wingback than at DMC, but
Jamie's confirmed Hargreaves on, and I can't see any tactical change there, so we will carry on with this. Still a long way to go, so plenty of times yet for Dragons to get back into it. Although Churchtown definitely...
Churchtown are on fire here.
Oh, absolutely. They certainly seem to have reasserted their dominance there. Requame Santa Cruz, Mil Del Piero, more Santa Cruz. But they on against the run of play. Archie back. And with 20 minutes to go, there is still a possibility. Let's just slow it down a little bit for people. 13 minutes to go, Churchtown on the attack. But it's looking fairly even now, I would say, going into the last 10.
And that goal gave them confidence, for sure. They're back in the game now.
Headman having to make 1 or 2 saves there. But it's Churchtown on the attack again with just over 5 minutes to go. Elbert picks up the rebound, and it's Carlos. Good save. Kesman now. It's all the right names for both teams, so that they'll both still be hoping they can get a winner here. Churchtown retaining some possession. And we go into injury time. And a 1-1 draw, as predicted.
As predicted.
A quick look at the match stats, and Dimble will be throwing stuff around the house, won't he?
This is almost a champion miss. It's close to it. I mean, I think he can take the positives out of it. He played a very, very good game against a very, very good side, and he's still unbeaten.
Well, absolutely, and when you've considered where they both were last season, there's more positives to take there, but that'll be on reflection. When you first see this, you'd be... I mean, I would be fuming if I saw this. And knowing you for a little while now, I imagine you wouldn't be best pleased.
I would have to go and buy a new laptop in the morning.
Let's have a quick look at the host stats then. Kaladze, man of the match. He kept his 9. A couple of yellow cards there, but it was as the match stats predicted. It was largely dominant, good ratings all round, and as you said, positives to take for the next game.
Yeah, there were. I mean, his front 3 had 4 shots on target, so I'd be disappointed that only one of them found the back of the net. Other than that, it's a brilliant performance.
Absolutely.
Unlucky not to win it.
And would you suggest that maybe it's harsh to say when it's been so good, but if someone like Cisse was on the pitch, do you think it might have been 2 or 3?
I don't think it's any better than what he's got there, to be honest.
Quick look at the Dragons side. I mean, Shiotis, slightly unfortunate maybe not to get man of the match himself with his 9. West keeping his 8, back getting an 8. Hargreaves doing fairly well when he came on. Kesman not really having the effect that was required, though.
No, it looks like it's his defensive players who's kept them in the game, especially Tiotis with the 9. Ibrahim Said doing the man's work in defensive midfield.
Absolutely.
Joe Cole being run around. But yeah, I don't think he'll be disappointed either to get a point away from home in a bad game. So
Dimble asking in the chat, what's a guy need to do to get a win? The answer, mate, is score more than the opposition. But let's move on to game 2. And it's quite a big one, particularly if you go by my predictions. Gazelles hosting the Devils. Devils have come up first, and Penza's still injured. But this is the team Hodgie has sent in. Kuhl back in the 11. Van Bronckhorst moving back out to left wing back so Soroczynski can come in. I mean, they were obviously strong anyway, but do you see this? Is Defoe up front the only weakness potentially?
Yeah, Yeah, for me, it's definitely. I think the two substitutions is made from the last game to put Kuhl and Torchinski in. It makes them stronger, and if you put Impensa up front instead of Defoe there, it's as good as it can get. But
And
Defoe, yeah, let's see if he takes his chances. Then, yeah.
no, absolutely. And I mean, towards the back end of the last season, obviously, I made a point at the Devils of trying to improve defensively, and a lot was made of my defensive midfield options. You look at the two playing today, Soroczynski and Emerson. Do you see that as a significant improvement on what was there before?
I think honestly, if you look at that defensive midfield four, I think if you read from left to right, it's just quality all around. All those four players are extremely good. Yeah.
And if we can have a quick look at the Gazelles team, Forlan continues to lead the line. Just the one change with Karagounis coming in up from memory, I believe it was. A lot was made, obviously, about the transfer bringing in Zayaleas as well. I believe the Gazelles look very strong and should be very much considered in the conversation as those who should be making top six.
Yeah, I've been instructed by the manager up front here to not disrespect Richie Wellens, so I'm gonna not talk too much about him. I'm gonna say other than him, I also think the squad is the team is it looks really good. Forlan maybe a little bit of it's not shown himself too much in the Super League before, but he's got some interesting stats. Karagounis maybe not for me, but the wingbacks, Elias, it's solid. As almost any team in this league, on a good day, they will beat anyone.
I think when you look at both these teams, the defensive units both look very strong. So it's which one plays better almost will win the game, isn't it? You're not looking so much at the attacking players this time round.
No, I think like many of the squads in the league, to be honest, the defensive base is so strong that whoever performs on the night is going to win.
Well, I left that up long enough for any errors to be announced. I mean, I do check these as 3 or 4 times because I'm nervous of getting it wrong. But so let's move in, and if we can have some predictions as the Devils play in their Bolton Phoenix tribute away kit. Jens, what are you thinking for this one? With two such solid defences, you going for like a 0-0?
I don't think the Devils will lose 2 in a row, so I'm going to say 2-1 Devils.
2-1 Devils, okay. Let's kick this one off then and see what these two powerhouse sides can offer. I can see Steerite's gone 1-1. Fairly even start. It looked like Devils had a chance, but Gazelles have come firing back themselves. Amar, Defoe, Kuhl all getting involved, starting to assert themselves. But this half seems to have flown by as we approach half time. Yellow card for Daisy there, and that is half time. Sloth's predicting 1-0. Chat Mega Horse pointing out that there are going to be some significant goals today. Gazelles haven't really got going, have they?
No, they haven't. Didn't look to me as the Devils had any chances either, but it seems like they've had some, as we talked about before the match, two very strong defensive units.
Absolutely.
And with Impensa instead of Defoe, maybe it will be 0-1 now.
Well, again, let's start with the hosts. And as you sort of alluded to, the defensive players getting the decent sort of 8s and 7s, but the attacking players only getting 6s. Not much by the way of creativity, it would seem. Do you, at this point, I'll open the door for you to point the finger at Richie Wellens, if you like?
That would be unfair to him, wouldn't it? I mean, there's bigger names there doing just as bad a job. No, I mean, they obviously can't get a hold of the ball on the opposition half. Not creating anything. He's going to hope for a lucky goal to get something out of this, I think, because if this keeps going, I think the Devils are going to score.
Yeah, I mean, we pointed out at the start Karagounis' inclusion, and he's although his pass completion rate is the best, his actual passes attempted is the fewest of all of those around him. Duggan is going Van der Vaart for Karagounis. Is that the sort of change you would be looking at as well?
Can you click it Van der Vaart? Just want to see how he gets on. It's starting to look good. I think he's got some stats that suggests that he could be a very good attacking midfielder. So it'd be interesting to see how he does there. And it's around that time now where he should be a very good player as well.
No, absolutely. We are obviously now 3 seasons into this save. Just check I've not missed any other instructions there. No, I haven't. So let's move over to the Devils. I haven't seen Hodgie in the chat, I don't believe. So I won't waste too much time looking at this. Kuhl, obviously, I think it was Rye was saying in game week 1, questioning Kuhl not starting. He's come back into the starting 11 and got a 5.
Yeah, not the best half from him, but he's attempted 2 shots. He's involved, so yeah, I don't think he's got anyone better to put on.
Yeah,
looking at that bench.
You were suggesting that it didn't look by the commentary that they were having many shots. When you look at Ferguson having 1, Kuhl having 2, Aymar having 1, perhaps it's shooting from distance potentially that the Devils have been doing.
Yeah, it could seem like it. Yeah.
Hodgie is here. Good evening, pal. Sorry if I missed you before. And he said same as. So he's confident this team will get a goal. So let's kick off the second half and see how we go. And it's much the same as the red and amber, should we go with? Red and yellow seem to be coming up a lot. Kuhl, I see Soroczynski now, Defoe, Dyer's getting involved. Defoe's missed another one there. But we're now seeing some black and yellow as Gazelle start firing back. And I saw Richie Wellens' name there.
For the first time.
Let's slow it down a little bit. And Day on the attack. Rao, Forlan. Nesta tackling Rao, 2 heavy hitters. We move into the final 10 minutes. Are both teams settling for a draw here? Is a draw a decent result, would you say?
Yeah, I would.
Oh! Ferdinand!
But there is Rio. And the Devils' tough start continues.
Wow, I've been guilty of maybe some unfair comments, so I'm trying to stay fairly neutral to give Hodgie a fair chance, but he won't be happy if this stays this way.
Just keep winding him up, mate.
Kieran Dyer getting involved. Some of the old boys, they won't be happy with this, and they're trying everything they can. Dyer, Emerson, they're just not passing to the new players.
They want their manager back.
And 6 minutes past the 90, and Gazelles wrap it up with a 1-0 win.
That's fantastic 3 points for the Gazelles.
Absolutely, he will be delighted. As frustrated as Hodgie will be. Oh wow! I mean, if we thought the last game ending in a draw was bad, Hodgie is going to be fuming.
Jesus Christ!
What a difference Emil Mpenza makes to this team.
It's as simple as that, isn't it? They won't have 7 shots on target and not score a goal if he plays. It's as simple as that.
I laugh. It's harsh to laugh, but we all know. We've all been around long enough to know this is what happens on Champ, and Hodgie's just got to ride the storm. And if anything, it'll be the only sort of positive is if this is happening early, then we all know the sort of run he's capable of putting together, and having what's perceived a stronger squad, everyone will still be reluctant to say, this start's going to have a bad effect, because they could easily go on a 10-game unbeaten run, for example. But let's put a bit of respect on Gazelles here, because although they haven't exactly battered their visitors, they have come away with the 3 points.
I can absolutely guarantee you that Mpenza's comeback is going to be the night they play Hoops. And he's going to score fucking 2 or 3.
When you look at, I think Duggan's mentioned Gazelles had a tough start. Getting this win will be crucial, won't it? I mean, they got a point. They drew with Dragons, didn't they? And now beating the Devils, who finished 1 and 2 last year. That's an incredible start.
Yeah, it's a perfect start almost. It's a very good start, so they can just go on with the business.
Quick look at the player ratings. You got Day there getting man of the match with 9. Him and Cafu continue to be outstanding as a pairing on either flank. Rio with his goal getting an 8, along with his centre back partner. Still perhaps looking at the likes of Forlan, Raul getting 6s. The attacking players not exactly doing their bit for the cause. But when the defensive players are doing that, you've always got a chance of nicking it.
Yeah, I think that's the only concern it's going to have, because there's a lot of games left to play, and at some point you're going to meet attack that's going to score goals against you. Does he have enough firepower up front to score as many goals himself?
That was the big question when obviously losing Cliver, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think Raul is capable of it, but maybe not in the position he plays now.
Quick look at the beaten Devils, and it wasn't an atrocious performance. It's just, you look at, we pointed out Emerson before the game. You look at Barry Ferguson, Van Bronckhorst. These have all been key players over the last couple of years, all getting sixes. Kieran Dyer's still, performing well above his level, pulling out nines. But that, unfortunately, it's just not happening enough, is it, for some of the star names at the Devils?
It's not, and they're not. I mean, they don't have that killer instinct up front that they do when Mpensa is there. You look at Defoe with 4 shots and 2 on target, but Mpensa scores on one of those.
Oh, absolutely. And when you look at some of the business that was done, obviously everyone suggests that Mpenza has an injury or two in him every year. Does it make sort of shifting on Montella that bit more surprising? Because again, you would argue they'd probably score 1 or 2 with him up front.
What was the deal for Mpensa? No, for Montella though.
Someone in the chat will have to remind me.
Aymar probably.
I want to say Aymar.
Yeah, probably. He was a local player, wasn't he? I don't know if, I mean, in Aymar he gets a starter, in Montella I had a substitute. So, I mean, you can't calculate too much on these things. But from experience in a home save, Mpensa gets injured a lot, but he's a fucking monster in this save. So, yeah, it's hard to say.
Let's swiftly move on to game 3, and it's Northern Burn versus Haggis Hunters. I hope, just a personal message to Ian, I hope everything's going okay outside of Super League at the moment. This is the team that he's put together. I quite like the whole sort of midfield unit from Vieira right up to Shevchenko and Rosicky. I think as a unit they actually look quite strong, and perhaps in some of the predictions people have made, they've forgotten just how strong an 11 Haggis can put out.
Yeah, I didn't like his setup in the first game at all. With Saha and who did he play at AM? They had a couple of weird players in AMC. They had Mendieta there and Saha there.
And they had Saha and Danielson played as a free behind Rossini.
So if you had to play Rossini up front, then at least put Shevchenko in one of those AMCs. I would have done that. I think this team looks more solid. I like Vasiliuk. I think if he gets regular game time, he's going to score goals. He's got players who can cross it for him. And yeah, as you say, that midfield has a defensive solidity over it. So yeah, this is the toughest as it comes against Bern away. But I like this lineup. I hope he sticks with it, even if it wouldn't give him 3 points tonight.
And we know, obviously, in the first game he played Rossini so that they could complete the Gary Neville deal. Gary Neville does make his debut alongside Jaap Stam tonight.
Yeah, he does. And not a huge fan, but yeah, okay.
Let's move on to Northern Burn, and again, no surprise to see not a lot of changes. Just 1 in 4 sees Freddie Ljungberg come into the midfield.
That's the question mark, isn't it? I'm not sure if he's a central midfielder. I know he can play there. If you look at, I mean, he's got AMRLC probably, but that team is so strong that you put one player in there, and I don't think it makes a big difference. They're my favorites to win the whole thing this season.
And we were talking about Gazelles having Cafu and Dede, Jorgatos and Contra.
Contra is a fucking monster in this game.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Shall we get some predictions in the chat as we go to kick off then? Oh, looks like I've suffered a ghost game.
Ghost game.
Sorry to fans
First
of
the season.
Haggis and Burn. It means we have been forced to move on to Sloths v Bostock. Let's have a quick look at how Sloths line up. And again, a lot of the talk is about the front three, isn't it?
Yeah, see, that's what we've been doing a little research on Spartak Slots. We've been looking at their games, and I've sent my scouts, and I thought I could give you a little report.
Please.
Because you see, the thing about Spartak Slot is the manager were extremely lucky to get Ceroberto, the best version of Ceroberto in the draft, and the best version of David Collins ever seen. Swapped now for Vieri, who's a monster. So what Spartak Slots do is the manager just throws 11 players on the field, and he tells them, give Ceroberto the ball. And in the start of the season, he's going to win a lot of games and score a lot of goals. And the manager is going to put out on Twitter that we're top of the league. I'm going to give you some wedges next weekend, blah, 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 blah. Because Ceroberto and Vieri or Collins carries the whole team. But then after 15 games, maybe Ceroberto gets injured. And then we can all see that the manager is tactically inept because he has no answer to it. And he ends up losing a lot of games and he falls out of the playoffs. And this is the same every season. And he hasn't done anything about it this year either. So he's probably going to win tonight. He's probably going to win the first 5-6 games, and then it's back to normal.
Well, I fully respect the detail you've gone into on your report there. Let's have a look at Bostock Stanley, who, after what was a disappointing season last year, are being tipped by a lot of people after some solid business in the window. And Rossini, we mentioned earlier, obviously, about Gary Neville. Rossini starts with a place on the bench.
Yeah, he's putting his faith in Anelka. He probably has to if he doesn't want him to destroy all the morale in the squad. I gave him a couple of chances last season and he didn't deliver, so it was bound to happen when I started not using him. He brought in the man mountain himself, and the eye from me.
Yep.
One of the best players in the league last seasons. Him, Dakour, and Bovir in that central midfield that's a fucking. I mean, you don't want to play against them.
No,
that's going to hurt.
And we've obviously been focusing a lot on because it's easy to compare when so many teams play these similar formations, and we've been looking a lot at sort of defensive midfield that teams are able to put out. Dakour seemed to fall off a cliff, but a lot of people do still rate him. As you said, you've already picked out Ndiaye, and then Liboya as well, who, despite his quality, seems becoming something of a Super League journeyman. No one seems to be able to or want to give him the time to fully express what we all know the qualities he has.
I love Liboya in the game. He's been disappointing so far in the Super League in this version, but I mean, just look at that trio. It's going to be hard to get past. I also do like Lassisi, and I think Ashley Litt is probably evolved now, so it's probably good. My only question about this Bostock Stanley team is, if I know he raves on about having a lot of strikers, but if David Collins gets injured, who's going to score the goals?
No, absolutely. Well, I suppose that's one of the reasons that Rossini was brought in, because he's one of those that comes with a bit of a reputation of being able to score.
Not from this version, though.
No. That's
and Anelka is the same, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to see over the long course.
Let's just give them both squad numbers. If we can have a few predictions in the chat, hopefully we won't get a second ghost game. No, there we go. Jens, what are you predicting for this one?
Seeing as it's early in the season and Ceroberto is doing his thing, I'm going to say Spartak Slots win 3-2.
Okay. While we hello to Star2D2, who sends his apologies and says he'll be catching up. That's absolutely no problem. Let us know via all the usual social media channels what you think. Dan Megahorse first in with a 0-2 prediction. Let's kick this one off and see what happens.
I'm going to run and get a beer because I don't really fancy looking at slots.
No, that's absolutely fine, mate. You go and get that beer while I talk through what seems to be Sloths having most of the possession and chances, but Anelka, with his first ever Bostock Stanley goal, giving the away side the lead, and now they're looking to build on it with that bit of confidence. possibly should be 2-0 up there, and they seem to be missing a host of chances, including hitting the woodwork at least twice, it would appear. Sloth slowly coming back into it. Can they get a leveller before half time? It's been much more entertaining. Or disallowed goal. Well, that's probably been the most entertaining first half we've had so far tonight. Let's have a quick look at the match stats. How Sloths have only registered one shot on goal,
Jesus, it started already.
But I mean, I don't know how much of that you caught. It looked a lot more entertaining, but Bostock, who certainly didn't seem to be dominating early doors, have dominated the actual stats at half time.
Yeah, he's been found out already. It looks like. So if they're going to start this period of losing games that early in the season, it's going to be a long season for the Slots. Definitely.
Thank you to everyone who sent predictions in during that half, and I can see Potato Mourinho saying absolute ding dong this one. It did appear so, even if the stats didn't suggest. Let's have a quick look at the home side, and despite everything, Zé Roberto still getting a 9 at half time.
It's fucking ridiculous. It's just fucking ridiculous, isn't it?
We'll leave this up for a moment to see if any changes are wanted. I can see C-Max there saying absolute myth, not even the best club within missile range of Kurdistan. So he seems to be agreeing with your with your suggestion that Sloths are being found out. Do we think potentially, while we just make this change, Mantores coming on for Batistuta? Let's have a quick look at the away side. Do we think, is it Ortega? Yeah, Ortega possibly man marking Zé Roberto? It wouldn't necessarily be his strong point to do so.
I would, if it was me, I would use someone else than Ortega in that position if I was going to man mark him. I did with Thuram season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't like attacking players marking, but yeah, you never know. You can't see it, can you?
As we look at the away sides here, Scott said as is, so we don't need to hang on the page too long, but a couple of 8s with all the 7s, pretty much a perfect away performance.
Yeah, and the eye is still at least 2 figures away from what is going to end the game in 9 or 10. So yeah, it looks very good for Vostok Stanley.
And Scott just saying in the chat there, picking up on what the question I made, Ortega couldn't man mark himself. Let's restart the second half and see if Sloths can come back into it. Certainly started red and black, but Bostock again weathering a bit of a storm. I've seen though the attacking names, particularly the substitute Montares, but now Bostock Stanley, and it is Lee Bowyer, the man we picked out before kickoff, makes it 2. Sloths are in a lot of trouble now. Not really much need to slow this down unless they get one back. Oh, they have got one back. And it's Vieri, so let's slow it down a little bit.
On a Zé Roberto cross, of course.
We could have a grandstand finish. But Bostock not taking their foot off the gas. Lee Bowyer again. And surely that's wrapped it up now. Absolutely running things from midfield there. We've got Decor. Bostock are not taking their foot off the gas. Sloth still believe, though, that they can get it back into it. Looks like Bostock will just be taking possession amongst themselves now. Lizarazu still going, and there's a foul. Can they make it 4-1 right at the end?
I just hope the security on the Lubbock Arena are doing their job, because I know when these Kurds lose the match, they always freak out. The manager included.
Handball by the new signing. I'm just having a quick look at the chat here while this game finishes off as Undai gets a yellow card. Tatum Marina saying Bostock look immense, terrifying spine they have.
Yeah, completely agree.
And we move into injury time. And in the 94th minute, the Sloths are put out their misery. And Bostock with a very much deserved 3-1 victory, it would appear by the stats.
Brilliant away performance. Very deserved 3 points. But they shouldn't be too high on themselves, considering they played Slots.
And I'm pleased to say that one of the Super League legends, I can see Martin has joined us in the chat saying Bostock bookies favourites. I certainly tipped them in the pre-season show to finish in the top 6 this year. Let's have a quick look at the Sloth's stats. Well, I just say I hope you are well, Martin. Thanks for joining us. I mean, ultimately, when you consider they've lost, they've got 2 9s, an 8, and all 7s. It's not exactly a terrible performance individually. It's just they've been outfought by arguably a better team.
Yeah, it looks like it. I don't think you should read too much into the player ratings, anyways, because the match stats are obviously more important, and they weren't ever close to getting a result tonight. Having said that, all banter aside, I think the Slots team are a little bit like if they have a good night, if they really fire, then they're unstoppable with those 3 up front and Zeraberto putting the crosses in. This night wasn't one of them, and with Bostock Stanley's solid midfield and defensive line, it wasn't going to happen.
No, definitely not. Let's move over to the victorious side, and congratulations, Scott, as you continue to set an example for what your new look side will do. Lee Bowyer, unsurprisingly, getting man of the match. Lizarazu getting a 9, who, to be fair, has probably been one of the more consistent performers over the last couple of seasons, and perhaps just because the likes of Zé Roberto and Van Bronckhorst hasn't necessarily been highlighted as highly as he should. Nelka obviously getting a goal. He's not got the best proven track record, but as long as he's scoring, he's going to carry on playing, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to carry on playing until the day he goes into halftime with a 5 and Scott decides to sub him. And then we all know hell breaks loose. But I mean, he's got other players that can play there as well. And as you say, that spine is strong and the team looks very strong. Lizarazu has been solid over the last 3 seasons. So, yeah, he's got a good team and he's one to be counted on for sure.
Craig suggesting best lone centre mid on the game by a mile. I believe that was when we were referring to Lee Bowyer, and that's very kind of you, Martin. But let's not get carried away just yet. I've got a long way to go. Let's move on to the next game up, and it's Locomotive Boston versus Astor Athletic. Let's have a look how Loco are lining up. And again, it's the centre midfield 3 I find interesting. If you were to go by the players themselves, you would suggest it was really good, but they've not exactly set the Super League alight in previous seasons, have they?
To be fair to Guerrero, I think he's been really good for Slots.
Yeah.
I think he's been really good. Zidane and Scholes are some sort of enigmas in the game. Some would call them myths. We all know that. We talk about Zidane almost every week. And Scholes is in the same bracket for me. A way better player in real life than he's in the game. I like his line of business, though. I like that he tries. I mean, if you look at that team, it's almost everyone was world class in real life, almost. So I like his the way it seems like he's trying to kill some myths with the signings he's made. And I also like the tactic he's put out today. I think to play those 3 at CM with an arrow is more effective than having them behind a striker.
And you point you point out the business there. It's worth highlighting the front 2 today, Montella and Inzaghi.
Yeah, and same kind of players, isn't there? Inzaghi as well. We all know him. I think this lineup gives them more chances to score goals with the 2 up front, and I also think that those 3 can dominate the match more in the central midfield and in the attacking midfield.
Astor have abandoned the experiment formation and gone with something a bit more traditional. Scally and Foe, again, if we're looking at defensive midfield partnerships, that they're not bad players by any stretch of imagination, are they? And they should offer a certain level of protection.
Definitely, I think I really like the both of them in the home save at least. I think, and if you look at, I think you looked at Foe last, or Ryan looked at Foe last show as well, and his stats are really good. Scally, we all know what he can do. Look at that right hand column.
It can be frightening, can't it, when you look at those numbers?
Yeah, he can definitely do a job. My main concern is can they score enough goals? I know a lot of people are fan of CC Roberts. I didn't use him that much myself. Saviola is yet to prove everyone what he's about. I really like Vile Rayad, so it's interesting to see him in the Super League.
Yeah,
Jon
well,
Dahl Tomasson in central midfield, though, I'm not sure.
Well, one of the things I was going to say was obviously this season there was an allowance for outside of the league transfers, which most, if not everyone, used up their allocation. Um, However, Tato's one of the only ones really throwing both of his in almost from the off. And you mentioned Thomason. I can see Steve Wright saying Thomason joke. Sorry, it has to be saying Tato's defence. He's away. I believe he's on holiday, although he is in the chat. So thanks for joining us, Tato. Thomason wasn't in his original lineup, but because of the absence of Romagnoli, who I believe was originally in there, that is why Thomason is playing.
Okay, I'm not sure if Romagnoli would be that much better, to be honest. But he's working well with the personnel he's got, and I think he's brought in two good, solid wing backs as well. So I like how he set up his team, and if he can get Saviola and Rayad to perform, then I think they're going to take more points than last season.
Well, on the assumption we're avoiding a second ghost game, yeah, we are. If we can get some predictions in the chat, please. And Jens, as always, I will ask you for your much respected opinion and prediction, please.
I don't have the chat here, but I'm gonna guess that everyone is gonna tip Loco to win this. I'm gonna say Desmond 2-2.
Desmond 2-2. As I'll let you know, I haven't seen any fly through yet. Oh, here we go. Ryan saying 5v circling players when his mouse is nowhere near them. Yes, I forgot that this is an issue when I'm doing it. I will get my head around that. But Jens can see what I'm doing, so it makes sense to him. Alf said 3-1 Loco. Steve Wright 1-0 Loco. Duggan saying big performance from Rayad here. 1-2 up the tatty. Martin saying 2-2. And Tato Mourinho saying 4-1 Loco. Let's kick this one off. Champ Megahorse in with a 1-2 prediction. And it looks like there's a fair bit of blue and white early doors, to be fair. I'm seeing Foe's name quite a lot and Rayad's name. But there is an injury to Thomason, which, judging by everyone's reaction to him being in the team, is not exactly a big loss.
It depends on what you can put in, doesn't it? Let's not get any central midfielders there on the bench.
No, and that could be a problem. Could you possibly see one of Foe or Scally moving forwards and
maybe Scally forwards and
player?
Vashuk? Maybe Vashuk can play in defensive midfield.
Just while we wait for an answer from Tato, who did say he is in the chat, so I imagine it will come from him. Here we go. Franca, please, and swap with Red.
Ooh.
So he's going for it.
Nasty.
So this is what we're going with following that injury. He did drop a message to say that Dan Megahorse could make the change if he wasn't in the chat, but please say both gentlemen were able to join us. Let's carry on with the first half. As it looks now, we're starting to see a lot more of the attacking players from Loco, but another injury, and this time for the home side as Kaluzhny goes off on the half hour. Both sides going in with some hard challenges here, do we think?
Yeah, Kaluzhny usually the one injuring others, so but Petit is a
Petit's the obvious answer here, yeah. I would agree. We'll just wait for confirmation. Yeah, Greavesy's saying Petit.
He's on the yellow anyway, so probably not too bad to get him off.
This was one of those where at halftime Alf would be saying almost certain red card.
Definitely. After commenting on the weather, of course.
Astor score, and it's red again, but it's been disallowed. And then Guerrero goes straight up the other end to give the hosts the lead. And that brings us to half time. As 1-0s go, it looked fairly even. Boston edging it stat-wise.
Yeah, I think 1-0 is probably a fair result, but Astor's definitely in the game. I don't think Tato is going to be too disappointed with the first half, and they're still within a shot to get a point here.
Absolutely. And I mentioned how Tato said that Dan could make the change if he wanted to. He's commented after the sub, I'm glad I didn't have to decide on that change. Let's have a quick look at the hosts, because Greavesy probably needs to get up in about 2 hours for work anyway, so he'll be wanting to go to bed. And the windmill will be getting prepared. Petit coming on, having a reasonable impact on proceedings. It's been good without being excellent. Is that fair?
It's been Locomotive the season they won it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But just grind this 1-0 out and they're back.
And when you look at Greavesy there saying keep as is, please. Duggan, if the league went down to 13 teams and Loco were euthanised, would anyone actually be asked? I think certain people want Sloths gone first, but as a co-chair, I have to remain solely neutral. Let's have a quick look at the away side. They are behind. There's a lot of sixes there, which is really the problem, isn't it? Players are kind of doing their job without being able to fully do it to the best of their abilities.
And they can't seem to get the attacking players on the ball, so they'll be hoping to get those wing backs involved, I think, and put some crosses in for the big man, CC Roberts.
Would
Saviola still flattered to deceive.
Absolutely. And Tato's gone for Saviola off for Donovan. So let's make that change.
Been a big disappointment, Saviola, so far.
For someone who's got such a high reputation, he does flatter to deceive more often than not. As we kick off the second half, and again, blue and white starting strong, so the away side definitely trying to get back into it, but have to be wary not to get caught on the break. And there is Guerrero again, and you imagine already that's game over.
It's the windmill out then.
The windmill is firmly out. No need to slow this one down. Astor not really offering anything in the final minutes, and Inzaghi makes it 3.
Big Pipo.
Barthez has had very little to do. Montella makes it 4, and well, the windmill will be certainly at it tonight, because that is massive, especially when you consider 4 out of the 6 on target have gone in. Greasy will be ecstatic.
Yeah, it will. It's a dominant second half, and as we said before the match, they have 2 goal scorers up front.
Yeah,
they look more dangerous with that tactic. Some problems for Tato to consider, though. How can he get Saviola involved, and how can he get CC Roberts to fire?
What would you do in that situation?
I don't know. I don't know his squad, but
fair enough.
I think that I don't know. It's hard to say. I think the defensive lineup is set up is decent. Maybe some instructions, change some instructions, and try some other personnel, but it's always hard to say.
And I know he had some time in caretaker charge at Haggis, and kind of caretaker charge, if you like, at Astor. But this is a real rude awakening for Mr. Mourinho, isn't it?
Yeah, it's welcome to the Super League. It's a definite welcome to the Super League. It's hard. I know how it is.
Oh, absolutely. Quick look at some of the stats. Pippo Inzaghi with a 9. Guerrero man of the match 10 with his 2 goals. Zambrotta and Tinetto, we've mentioned wing-back partnerships. They both got 9. When 7 is your lowest, you expect to win, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's as good as you can get. And when the lowest is the 7 and the 7 is Zidane, you have to be happy, because Zidane with a 7 is good as well. So nothing to complain about at all for Greavesy.
And when we have a quick look at Astor, we don't want to dwell on it too much, given throwing in his token 5, which I think Alf points out he does 1 every 3 games or so. You've got some of the big name players for what there are. Hoffland is the one that you look at. Only getting a 6 is not ideal. As you say, the supply to score the goals isn't great there either. But it's just finding, as you alluded to, the right combinations, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think Tato is a really good manager, and he's probably going to test things out. And I'm confident he's going to find the right tactic and the right personnel to turn it around.
And in his experience and wisdom, Martin points out awful fitness at Astor. You see the likes of Sorin ending on 78, and even the subs coming on, ending sort of 83. You've got 80s. It's not the best, is it, really?
No, it's not. That's why I always play friendly games.
I've lost track of how many games we've played, but we've got the much anticipated Fat Neck Derby next up, and this is how Leddersford play, and everyone is getting right up to the screen. I haven't seen any big circles, so I'm sure we are fine.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Not on Constantino?
Doesn't look like it to me.
It looks like it on my screen, but
how would I check it to be sure? Is it right click?
yeah, I think so.
No, it doesn't look like it did anything.
Okay, it looked like it for me, but maybe it's my screen.
No, it possibly is. It could, like I say, it could be the other way around. It could be my screen and the light and just not suggesting it is. But we've done the click anyway, just to be sure.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying there is, so hopefully I've got rid of that. Just a quick check then on anyone else that might have it. I can't. Again, to me, it doesn't look like there's any
No, it
circles on.
doesn't look like it. No, not now.
And he did say the captain can pick itself. So he stuck with the same sort of base tactic as previously. Obviously, Ronaldinho with the backwards arrow. What do you think when you look at this team? For me, Ambrosini, again, the defensive midfield three are crucial here.
Yeah, I love Vogel. I had a deal initially to bring him in. Ambrosini is solid. Smertin, stats wise, look good. I'm not sure if he's top level, but yeah, all in all, he plays with wingers. I like that. Something different. All in all, I like the team. I think Ronaldinho is crucial to them. Has to keep him firing to be up there.
And obviously, most people kind of play with a four across the defensive line, and this is a slightly different setup. Do you think the wingers offer enough when you look at, again, we've focused on certain partnerships at teams? Do you think these two offer enough?
I think Echevarria definitely can offer enough from right midfielder. I do think Bosansini is he's probably either footed. It's just me that always thought he's best at right. I think stat wise he should be good in season 3 as well. So he's got two good players at the wings, and he's got quality in midfield, and it's got Ronaldinho. So yeah, it's a good team.
Excellent. Well, let's move on. Maldini selected as captain and see what Dudley Hill have to offer. And it looks to me a fairly strong squad considering how lowly people are predicting Dudley to finish.
Yeah, listen. I got a lot of time for Steve. I think he's one of the nicest guys in the league. Always up for a chat and a decent fella, and I think he knows the game as well. I think he's been unlucky so far. I think what he's done going away from the narrow is I would have done the same thing. I was going to say, actually, if he played the narrow again, I was going to say that I would put Serginho in at left and put Zanoni at right, and let Tomasi do the work alone. Van Bommel did a good job for me at central midfield last season. So I like the base of this tactic. Not sure if Rusev and Sedorf can create enough for Luca Toni, who's not top class either, but I think he's onto something here, and I do hope he starts to pick up some point.
And I know, just as I go for kickoff and ask for predictions, Steve's particularly excited to see what Mendonca can offer to the Super League.
Yeah, I always thought of him as a striker, but Steve obviously has been looking at editor and saw that he's better at AMC. Yeah, we'll see.
Well, we kick off the derby, and Luca Toni scores early, but it's been ruled out. Dudley Hill, very dominant in the early exchanges. Looks like Leddersford was slowly starting to offer some resistance, but it's all blue and yellow again. Referee having to get involved with a fairly early yellow card. Seedorf's name and Tony's name and Van Bommel's name coming up quite a bit. Tomasi as well.
Tackling hard here. Just what you would expect from a fat neck derby.
And we are approaching half-time with 4 minutes to be added on. I saw Mendonca, and Van Bommel gives them a lead on the stroke of half-time. 1-0 to Dudley Hill in what's been a largely uninspiring game. This has been is the saying, a war of attrition? It's been a battle really more than anything, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, both sides have players that love a battle in midfield as well, so it's probably not a big surprise.
And there's not much to go over stat-wise. So let's have a quick look at the teams themselves. A couple of yellow cards for Dudley, who have that crucial lead. Mendonca not having the most influential of debuts, but Tomasi, again, being an absolute beast.
Thriving alone there in the DMC, having those three in front of him as well. It suits him perfectly.
We will leave this up for a minute just so Steve can advise if he wants any subs, and we will move over to Ledisford. As the conversation continues about Wooder's tactics. Apparently you were right. Most people are saying it was evident, so it was just my lighting, pal. You were right to point it out, so thank you very much for doing so.
Yeah, it's nice that it was right, not being a jerk, seeing things.
Steve says as is. So if we look at Ledisford, it's just a case. Again, it's good without being great, and it's the strikers, the two actual strikers, if you like, who are just not really offering anything.
No, I'm not sure if Galletti is an actual striker either. I think he's decent, but I don't think he's Super League quality. I would like to say that seeing a team with fat circles, I want them to lose no matter what. So up to Dudley in the second half.
Well, we are seeing Morientes coming on for Galletti at half time. That's a significant improvement, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
And we will kick off the second half. And Ledisford, again, trying to start quickly, but Dudley have sort of withheld the early storm, although Ledisford's certainly maintaining, and it's Constantinou who equalises. And that won't go down well. But Rusev, on his debut for Dudley Hill, puts them back in front with an hour played. And again, we have to point out, with how lowly the expectation is on Dudley, this is a very good performance so far. Seeing Ambrosini, Rusev, all the names expected. Let's slow it down a little bit with 15 minutes to go as Rusev gets a yellow card.
It was a nerve-wracking last 15 this. Steve will be buzzing if he wins this.
And fair play to him, because he's taken a lot of, let's just call it banter. He's taken a lot of banter about his deals, etc. And this game particularly will mean a lot to him.
Definitely. And yeah, happy for him if he does the 3 points. I think he deserves it.
And let's not forget that Wooder was suggesting he would be top after 3 games with 3 wins from 3.
I don't listen to this bullshit. He's got something going on. If he drops the whip wob, then he's a Scouser as well. I tend to like Scousers. So if he drops the whip wob, I'll be nice to him next time I'm on comms.
Congratulations to Dudley Hill, who have won the Fat Neck Derby. Fairly even game, and perhaps a draw would have been fair.
Yeah, perhaps they took their chances. Yeah, I think Ledisford were coming really hard after halftime. Steve be delighted that Ivan Rusev got the goal, and to get the 3 points, probably buzzing for it.
Oh, he will be absolutely buzzing. Let's have a quick look at Dudley Hill's stats. Van Bommel, man of the match with his 9, an 8 for the goalkeeper.
Tomasi run to get another beer, mate.
Okay, yeah, no worries, pal.
You'll go through them. Thank you.
But so solid stats all round. Mendonca getting up to a 7 himself. Luca Toni putting in a 7. Definitely being the sort of pivot that the players behind were working from, it would appear. Just having a quick look down the chat as well. Everyone's saying yes, Steve, and congratulations. Champ Meghorst, does the winner have a fattest neck, or is it the loser's prize? Steve pointing out that again he's got goals disallowed, so there'll soon be a Hull style "we never get pens" type protest from Steve saying we always get goals disallowed. Duggan pointing out that Alf's calling Wooder out. And hello.
Not sure if Alf I'm not sure if Alf is innocent in this, to be honest.
You
We
think
all
a
know he
man of
delivers
his
the scout reports.
it's almost ruining Alf's squeaky clean reputation, this now, isn't it? I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Rocks, who's joined us in the chat as well. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the party. Quick look at Leadersford's stats. Again, a few eights around, particularly in the combative players. You're looking at Ambrosini, Vogel, Smertin, but not much else going on. Constantinu got his 8, Morientes a 7. He did have 3 shots, 2 on target, but failed to convert. Positives there still for Leadersford?
No, not to be honest. No, he got caught. He got caught cheating again. So no positives there.
Well, thankfully, Ryan is. I've seen earlier in the chat he's going to double check to make sure I haven't done anything inadvertently to put Woodder in it, but I kind of just save and load, so I can't see that I have done. But thankfully we can move on.
I'm playing my first football match for 2 years now. The day after tomorrow, and I did a run today to like keep in shape, and now I drank 11 beers. So it probably didn't work out.
Because of the ghost game, we're actually onto yours. I think we're actually making quite good time as well, considering the late start. So thanks everyone for sticking with us. Let's look at your opposition if we can first. Fulchester, they've gone with the tried and tested Yepes, Baldi, Butt, and then in the attacking trio, Veron supporting Ronaldo and Comodini. They are a strong squad, aren't they?
It's a frightening squad. That midfield is so good. That midfield 6 is. If I can get a point, I'll be happy, to be honest. I think Fulchester are one of the favourites.
For all of the talent in the squad, it's Bishkan I want to point out, because this is possibly the 4th, possibly even 5th position I've seen him playing for Fulchester, and sometimes those versatile players are crucial, aren't they?
Yeah, if they can do a job. I mean, Biscan is versatile, and he always does the job as well. So he's a brilliant player to have in the team.
And if you could pick 1 or 2 players out that most concern you here?
I hate playing Veron. I think he can dominate the match from anywhere. But the whole midfield is so strong that it's going to be a tough test for us.
Absolutely. Let's have a quick look at your team then, and we were able to have a little bit of a chat off camera. Again, if we're looking at comparisons and areas of the pitch that we've spoken about a lot tonight, your wing-back options, a lot of people really rating, and I know you're very excited. Malewski in defensive midfield. Xavi's a player I know we spoke about again off camera. Rye's a big fan of in terms of how he's developed on this save. And that attacking free, if they click, that's frightening.
Yeah, I didn't feel we scored enough goals last season, and mainly because I thought my wingbacks didn't provide anything for my attackers. I got Sanyol playing at right, giving us decent average ratings, but no assists and no goals. I had to play Liverani at left because my other left wing backs didn't work out. So to get those 2 ends and only at the bench in, and to get more firepower up front as well was what I wanted, and I definitely got that.
No, definitely. It's one of the reasons why I've tipped you to do so well this season. Again, if I can ask for predictions, please, as we move to kick-off. Jens, I'm happy for you to sort of sit on the fence if you don't want to offer a prediction for this one, or if you just want to say if you're confident, not confident.
I'm partly confident.
Partly confident, but you did suggest earlier you'd be happy with a draw if I offered it now.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, as I'll hit kick off as we wait a few of these score predictions to come through, and it's Halls who start quickly this time round. Seen this a lot tonight, where one team starts very quickly trying to put the pressure on. I can see Scott Sadler was first in with a 2-1 prediction for Halls. And it's still Halls who are largely in control by the looks of the text commentary, although Fulchester now coming into it. Crespo having a chance there. I'm seeing Rivaldo's name, Xavi's name. Beckham and Comandini, though, linking up, it would appear. Seeing Candela as well. this looks like it could be a really good game, particularly going into the second half. We get to half time. For what it's worth, a couple of other predictions came in during that half. Jens, Ian Edwards saying 1-1, Alf Bridge 1-1. So everyone that's put predictions in suggesting you were going to be strong, and you are, well, you certainly edged it from what I saw, and you're edging it in the stats.
Yeah, it looked tight to me. Only difference is we had shots on target. Buffon probably playing a good game, as goalkeepers tend to do against us. But yeah, pleased with the first half.
I'll give you a quick chance to have a look at your stats first. Again, it's one of those where you've got a couple of 8s in there, mainly 7s, a couple of 6s. So again, good without being excellent. Is there anything that you're particularly pleased with or not pleased with as you look at that and consider any halftime subs?
I'm pleased. Not too much. It looks like I can get the ball to the two strikers, so hopefully they can find the back of the net.
Yeah, I certainly saw Crespo's name a fair bit. Would you like to make any subs?
No, I'm going to keep it as it is. Thank you.
Keep it as is, lovely. I did see CMAC in the chat earlier, so we'll give him a minute to review his stats here. You suggested Buffon might be having a good game. He's their top player with an 8 so far.
Yeah, it's no surprise.
Saw Beckham and Comandini's name linking up, but they're not exactly excelling in the ratings themselves. Where you were fairly content with the first half performance of your attackers, Ronaldo and Comandini both averaging 6s, isn't ideal for Fulchester, is it?
No, but I mean, all it takes is a good cross from Beckham or Giggs, and Comandini's big head on it. So we have to be careful. Hopefully, get the first goal.
No, absolutely. I'll give CMAC another 20 seconds or so to announce if he wants to make a change, and then we will kick off. You were saying you were slightly confident when you see that first half performance. Can you see a win coming, or are you still happy to take a draw?
I mean, it's the same as at the start, to be honest. It's typical Fulchester to grab one in the end, isn't it?
I'm not seeing anything from Macca, so let's kick off the second half. And this time it's Fulchester starting quickly. Can Halls weather their storm? Still a lot of blue and white in the second half as we approach the hour. I've seen Veron's name, but now Crespo gives Halls the win. The lead. Let's try that again on the hour. And that seems to have given your boys a bit of confidence, Jens, as we've seen a bit more black and white in the commentary. Free kick, corner, certainly getting a few set pieces now. Seeing Rivaldo's name, Candela's name, Van Nistelrooy. Xavi getting involved there, Van Nistelrooy missing a chance. Oh, I've not slowed this down at all. I do apologise.
It's lagging a bit.
We're into injury time as Fulchester try and get an equaliser. The 93rd minute is Halls on the attack. Van Nistelrooy brought down, and that takes us to the final whistle. A huge 3 points. And a fairly dominant performance from your boys as well, Jens. You must be quite pleased with that.
Yeah. I'm buzzing. Very, very pleased. It's, very good.
And just in the chat, I can see Raphael's joined. So again, I'll allow you to do some traditional greeting because I will butcher if I attempt alternative languages. Let's have a quick look at your stats. Sol Campbell, man of the match, with a solid 10, and Van Nistelrooy up the other end getting a 9 despite not scoring.
Or assisting.
Correct.
That's a weird one. Yeah, no. Look, we dominated the game. I think we deserved the win. Couple of players not performing up to their standards, but all in all, very, very good.
Well, I know
Sol Campbell being the beast that he can be.
Absolutely, and I know when we were talking again before we went live, we were discussing your midfield options. Xavi getting a 6 despite the big build-up that he's had from myself and Rai. He's not done himself many favours there, has he?
No, he hasn't. But I think, as we talked about, I think he's got a lot of stats in the right places, and for that formation in that position, I think he's still a good choice. As long as other people can deliver, then it's not a big issue for me.
If we have a look at Fulchester again, it was just really their attack, their front two that let them down. Everyone else had fairly decent ratings. It was Buffon that largely kept them in the game, but still some positives there for Macca.
Yeah, I don't think he will think that now, but I mean, Buffon has been a wall, and Nicky Butt has the 8 he always gets. So defensively, he's had a solid game. I mean, to only concede one away to us, I think with my attacking players is not too bad.
Absolutely.
So as you say, it was just about getting the goal himself, which he couldn't do.
We did have the Ghost game earlier, so that should take us back to Burn and Haggis, which we did the preview for at the time, so we can go straight into the game. If I just quickly click on the teams again for you, Jens, and you can offer a quick prediction before we press kickoff.
2-1 Burn.
2-1 to Burn. Ryan pointing out 1-6 doesn't make a bad player. Completely agree. But it is worth noting that when Halls have played so well, he was the only one to score a 6. So it's worth pointing it out. Let's kick off the final game of the night, and it's Haggis off to a strong start. Perhaps somewhat surprisingly, when Burn was so hotly fancied. See, Steve Wright has gone 2-1 Burn, but it's Sigalko who gives them the lead, give the home side the lead. Still quite a bit of black and blue commentary. So Haggis aren't certainly not out of it as we already get to half time. And let's have a quick look at the stats. Burn, it didn't necessarily look that way, but Burn are certainly the better side stats wise there.
Yeah, it looks that way. I didn't. It was lagging a lot on my screen. When Sigalko scored, it was 1-0, and I didn't see it. So maybe something bad with my internet connection or something. But yeah, it looks like Northern Burn has edged it and deserved the lead.
And let's have a quick look at the individual stats for the hosts. A lot of 7s there. 8 for Sigalko, 8 for Jorgatos, who we did point out that Jorgatos before when we did the preview. We'll leave that there for a second to see if Ian wants to change anything. Can you see anything there that surprises you or that you might be concerned with?
No, if I was Ian, I would think that there's a couple of 8s coming in the second half as well. So yeah,
No?
looks decent half for him.
Absolutely, and Ian very quickly throwing in an as is please Fifey. So we'll switch it over. I have seen Ian in the chat, so hopefully his internet connection is keeping him up to date, so he can see these ratings and suggest if he wants to make any subs. It's just another one of those where the ratings aren't quite matching up. Where Burn were predominantly 7s, there's quite a few 6s here in crucial places for Haggis.
Yeah, it is. He's got Vieira doing his thing in the middle of the park. If I was Ian, I would think maybe it's time for Henke Larsen to hope that he could change things up.
Yes, quite possibly. And he has come in here, Bruno for Mera. So let's make that change now.
And put Rosiski in midfield, no?
There's been no amendment that I can see. It just says Bruno for Mera.
All right. I would believe Bruno was a more attacking player than the central midfield.
There is Bruno. I can just see Steve and Martin having a conversation. Highest amount of goals scored. I couldn't say for certain, if I'm honest. I know there's been very few to really smash through the 20 goal tally. Sigalko last year, no, he didn't even hit 20 because I don't think Mpenza hit 20, and there was only one goal in it. So I'm going to say it was probably back in sort of Haller era. Mpenza probably got around 23, 24. Ian is suggesting he would like to make that change and move Rosicky back. So he's taking your advice here, Jens. Let's hope it pays off for him as we kick off the second half of the final game of the night. And Burn starting strong, looking to double their advantage. And there is the goal. It's Ian Robin, who I know Ian is hoping a lot from this year as he gets another year older. We hit the hour mark. Penalty not given there for Haggis as Sigalko makes it free, and that should be all she wrote, I would imagine. Shevchenko not giving up yet. But it looks to me with 15 minutes to go that Bern have this wrapped up and could even get a fourth fairly shortly.
Seems like Bern is the team to beat.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that about Bostock earlier in the night, but Bern certainly are fancied by a lot of teams. And you can understand why after this performance. 3-0 home win. Very similar stats to your game, actually. But they were able to put 3 away. And yeah, as you say, they're certainly a team to beat.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do think it would take something special to get something from this game for Haggis, but I definitely think Ian is onto something with that tactic, and I do hope that he keeps something similar for the next games to see if it can work out. Not switch and change things up.
Absolutely. And to answer Martin's question, Maxim got 19 last year because Emil needed 2 to match him in the final and only got 1 and finished on 18. Quick look at Bern's stats again. It's much like we said at halftime. I mean, they've ended up there as that 4 players with a 9: Samuel, Robin, Jeremy's, Sigalko. So it's players all over the pitch putting in a shift for Bern at the minute.
It's yeah, it's nothing more to say, is it?
No, they're looking frighteningly strong early season. Let's have a look at Haggis. Casillas, he's another one of those keepers who always seems to throw in a 5 at the worst possible time, isn't he? Yap Stam and Gary Neville as a partnership didn't work for the first time together. I'm sure it won't be the only time we see them. Vasilyuk, Shevchenko 6s as well. Bruno not having the effect when he came on. Disappointing night all round for Haggis, really.
Big Paddy Vieira has been let down by every other player. They didn't turn up. They were outplayed.
When you look at that level of performance, does it remind you a little bit of Ndai last year, where he's performing and no one else is?
Very much so. It's actually the reason I did decide that for the right deal, I would let him go, because no matter how high average rating he got, it seemed like he took all the responsibility, and I didn't get any results. So yeah.
Quick reflection on tonight's results then. Sloth's the only home team to lose. There were big wins for Loco and Bern. The only draw of the night coming between Churchtown and Dragons. Was there any result that particularly impressed you or shocked you out of the 7 we've had the pleasure of tonight?
No, I'm impressed with Gazelles. I think they had a really good start, and Bern didn't surprise me because I tipped them to win comfortably. But Bostock Stanley also looking, I mean, winning away to Slots in the early stage of the season is hard, and Bostock Stanley did it comfortably and look really solid as well.
It means absolutely nothing at this stage, but let's have a look at the league table after 2 games. Northern Bern and Bostock Stanley, 6 from 6. Gazelles and Halls remain are the other 2 unbeaten sides. Are you happy with that from 2?
Yeah, if you can win your home games and get a draw away, then you're going to be in a very good place, aren't you?
Devils joining Haggis and Astor as the sides yet to register a point. I can't imagine that staying the same for either of those sides too much longer, can you?
No, I think, as we said before, I think the season is going to be really tight, and I don't think it's going to be much from 14 to 6, to be honest, come the end.
As we have a quick look at the next round of fixtures, I'll ask you in a second if there's anything that piques your interest, but just a little note for the calendar, and again, thanks everyone for joining me this evening. There is a bank holiday weekend next weekend, so I've had a quick conversation with Rye, and I'm pleased to say, after checking with our friends over at Swemp, who are due to resume season 2 during the bank holiday as well, I am looking to throw on an extra round of fixtures. So Rye will be back with you on Wednesday, and then I'm looking to do a Friday show as well as Sunday to give you the bank holiday feels. So hopefully that will please everybody. An extra round of fixtures next week to see in the bank holiday, as well as the return of Swemp on bank holiday Monday. you've had a chance to review those fixtures. What stands out for you, Jens?
Nothing really. I think it's
Nothing.
it's all interesting, isn't it? I mean, couple of favorites, couple of big favorites. I back the Devils to get the first win. I back Bostock to beat Haggis. I back Byrne against Astor. Other than that, I think it looks matches that can go either way, to be honest.
And initial thoughts on your fixture, if I can, just as a closing thing. Tough looking one at home to Loco.
Yeah, pretty similar to the one we had tonight, to be honest. Very good team, very solid spine, but at home and with confidence from tonight, I back myself to get a good result there.
No, absolutely. Jens, listen, thank you very much for being the first person who's not Ryan and able to hold my hand all the way through a show. So thank you very much for joining me. It seems to have gone okay. I've seen nothing in the comments to say anything wasn't working. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Everyone who stayed with us all night in the chat, you've been excellent.
Thanks for having me, mate. It's been
No,
a pleasure.
anytime. So until next time, from everyone at Super League HQ, good night.
Good night.